What is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 4 of the Schmozone. I'm Dave Schmulenson, a.k.a. the Schmo. I'm being joined by...
Helen Yee Sports.
More emphasis.
Yeah. Well, my mom actually, yesterday, she had a little talk with me. She's like, Helen, where's your energy? Come on. So kind of got called out by my mom, so I'm trying to, make her proud today.
Mother knows best, as they say.
That's very true. Yeah, mother knows best. And this past week or weekend, we were very busy with Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. That fight that happened, it was super crazy. And even today, or yesterday, what Deontay said to, I believe, Yahoo Sports about his 40-pound costume kind of weakening his legs. All this stuff, it's so crazy. I'm kind of curious to hear what your thoughts on everything is.
You just went right into it right there, talking about Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury 2, referencing our friend over at Yahoo Sports, Kevin Iole.
Yes.
You're talking about the 40-plus pound costume that Deontay Wilder entered the MGM Grand Garden Arena walking in with. Pretty bizarre excuse. I guess he tried it on the night before. And look, at the end of the day, the better man won that night. And Tyson Fury didn't just outbox him. He outmanned him. I love both those guys to death. They are phenomenal fighters. Love interviewing both of them. You know this. Love Deontay.
They love you too.
I can't wait for the trilogy. They will have that trilogy match. I know they'll have that trilogy match, but the better man won Saturday evening. Got to tip your cap off to the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
Now, when you mentioned the excuse that he made, obviously the costume, everyone's kind of talking about that right now, which, I was, really surprised that he ended up blaming it on him. And I just want to say on the side, I have so much respect for, obviously, both Deontay and Tyson. But, when I first heard that excuse, I'm like, really? Like, is this real? 40 pounds. If it was maybe 400 pounds, I'd be like, damn, like, okay. But a 40-pound...
In their first fight, Deontay weighed 212 pounds. He put on 19 pounds for this second fight, weighing over 230 pounds. Tyson Fury put on 17 pounds. What people don't realize is when I look at Deontay, it's, he might have been a little bit more top heavy. He didn't have the same legs as he normally does. And he generates that punching power from his legs, which a lot of people don't realize. They just think, he's got this unbelievable wild punch. He doesn't have strong legs. No, he gets that punching power from those legs and he unloads. And he's got that most lethal right hand I've seen. And look, Tyson Fury, got to tip your cap off to him. He out-bullied the bully. He went right in there from the onset of the first bell, met him in the middle of the ring, and he would not let off of the pressure. By the second round, you saw how weak Deontay Wilder was. Those knockdowns, the knockdown in the third round, it was a Tyson Fury that I didn't expect. What he did with Tom Schwartz when he missed like 4 or 5 shots in a row, the way he can move at heavyweight, his footwork, second to none. That Tyson Fury that we saw Saturday evening, it's just the best pound for pound Lomachenko, but best heavyweight boxer in the world. Tyson Fury left no question.
Yes, absolutely. And like you said, and a lot of people are saying in regards to their trilogy, I guess, it's kind of safe to say now, but a lot of people are saying they're not as interested in it because they felt that in the first fight that Tyson was winning, obviously, most of that fight as well. And then this fight, I thought he, like what you said, dominated from start to finish. But I was just surprised now, kind of circling back to that costume, because afterwards, his trainer, JD's, in the post-fight press conference, he was saying that the cut in his ear may have caused, his equilibrium to be off balance. So I was just surprised that Deontay resorted to talking more about the costume than anything else.
Yeah, and then you mentioned the assistant trainer, the other head coach on the team, Mark Breland, the Olympic gold medalist, the 1984 Olympics, the welterweight throwing champion or Olympic medalist.
Yeah.
Throwing in the towel for Deontay Wilder, no longer being on his team afterwards. I think that, a lot of people are thinking that it actually saved Deontay Wilder. It saved a lot of part of his life. I mean, he was taking a beating.
Absolutely. And especially we're coming off of 2019 where there's so many unfortunate boxing tragedies. The Maxim Dadashev, the Patrick Days. I mean, for me, it's like it's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to be safe, and now he can exercise that rematch clause and do that trilogy with Tyson Fury rather than why take the extra brain damage? The fight wasn't even close at all. And, so I think what Mark did, like what you said, saved him.
The trilogy does need to happen. Yes, Deontay Wilder, the first fight was totally being outboxed, but in his last match against Luis Ortiz, he wasn't really winning any round until that right hand landed, and it was lights out. You definitely got to give the champ, the former WBC champion, there's a rematch clause. That's how boxing works, right? He had the clause in there for a reason. You got to give him a chance. They got to do it. I mean, if Joshua did not lose to Andy Ruiz and he was that undefeated fighter, I would say right off the bat, he's got to go fight Anthony Joshua. But then, again, that's probably going to be in the UK. 2 British fighters. We wouldn't see it here in America. They wouldn't do it over here. So I think the best fight for the fight fans is to have that rematch, that trilogy. That wouldn't be a rematch. It would be the third fight. So...
Yeah, and then meanwhile, I know Anthony Joshua has that fight against Kubrat Pulev, so that should be, according to some, outlets, it should be in June, I believe.
Yeah, Kubrat Pulev, another guy that the Schmo went in there with and took a few shots, body shots from him.
He hits hard,
Yeah, he beat the crap out of me when we did that a few months ago.
Yeah, that was hard to watch. I had to, jump in there and almost beg him to stop.
It's all good. No, you didn't. Don't lie. You didn't bet. It was for the camera. For the camera. Know. We do have a loaded show today, too, by the way, because in studio, we're going to have Diego Sanchez, the OG, the UFC legend, the Hall of Famer. That was in the Schmo voice.
I know. I was going to say Hall of Famer, but you topped everything. And, of course, his head coach, his trainer, Joshua Fabia, School of Self-Awareness. So I'm really excited to talk to them about everything.
Having them in studio both together, we're a week and a half away from Rio Rancho, where he had that victory against Michael Pereira. I hope I said that right with my Spanish. I cannot wait to talk to these guys. I know they've, been on some podcasts, but no one's had them together sitting down since to talk about what's going on. Everyone's got their takes, you shouldn't have done it this way. You should do it this way. Everyone's got their pitchforks out for what's the proper way of winning in MMA, coaching in MMA. Well, there's no better way than having the two actual human beings here in studio to discuss it. We're going to kick it to them, but let's just fully come to circle with this Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury, because I did put together a compilation of the best Schmoments of Tyson Fury over the past couple of years of interviewing him.
And one of my favorites, which the audience will be able to see or listen to, is after his fight and his win, he did sing Don McLean's American Pie, which the whole arena, it was really cool. I posted it on my Twitter. Everyone was singing it, but he actually sang it with you first.
Well, I brought that up. I've been watching him. He does that after his post-fight victory celebrations.
A great singer.
All like the past few fights, all the top-rank executives jump inside the ring. You got Bob Arum on the mic singing. He's pretty entertaining to listen to. 88-year-old Bob Arum on the mic. Still kicking.
Yeah, but the fans, let's kick it to that compilation because they'll get to hear your singing as well.
We will kick it to it in just 1 second because I do want to tell the fans the behind the scenes of kind of why I put this together. We put this together. What's so great about Tyson Fury is he's such a big, strong advocate for mental health. He's faced so much adversity. The guy weighed, way over 400 pounds, at his lowest of lows a few years back. Suicidal thoughts. No one thought after he got to those lows, after becoming the lineal heavyweight champion, beating Klitschko in Klitschko's home country, that he kind of fell off the map. If you haven't listened to him on Joe Rogan's podcast, you have to. It's actually phenomenal. Tyson Fury, larger than life, one of my favorite athletes I've ever interviewed, along with Deontay Wilder, very charismatic individuals. And getting Tyson Fury to open up about that side of things and talking about the fun stuff I do as the Schmo, just getting the whole wide range. We put together something 3 minutes. It's really fun. You got to check it out.
Yeah, you definitely get the best out of him. And I have to say, too, I loved his walkout. I know some people may have said it was a bit too long when he was carried out wearing the crown kind of as the king, but I enjoyed it.
He is the Gypsy King. Let's play it. Go ahead, Travis.
Prediction. KO! This is the Schmo with the pro, the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. Mr. 7 times a day, one press conference wasn't enough. You needed the Schmo here for a second. Here at the MGM Grand, how we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm here at the MGM Grand with the Schmo. I'm the pro, and we're going down big. This is the year of wake up and smell the competition. The year of the cyber athlete.
You come over here to the US of A, and then within a year's time, you get the 2 media conglomerates, ESPN and Fox Sports, doing a co-promotion. What's that have to say about the power of the Gypsy King brand?
The Gypsy King brand has taken over America. It's lighting it all up. We're taking it back old school. And who knows, I've even picked up an American accent.
We call that taking Schmover, Gypsy King.
Yeah.
Bob Arum, he's outspoken. He's comparing you to the all-time greats, the George Foremans, the Muhammad Alis. How does that make you feel, Gypsy King?
It makes me feel like a great, And I'm just happy to be here in Las Vegas.
What's your one message for Deontay Wilder right about now?
Kiss my ass, Deontay Wilder.
What does the word dossa mean, Gypsy King?
It means Deontay Wilder. That's what it means. Dossa means Deontay Wilder in my language. When I beat Deontay Wilder, February 22nd, the lineal champion claims his stake at the top of the division.
Number 1.
Number uno.
Uno!
Yeah.
They said you couldn't speak Spanish. They're liars. Timmy, go-to song on karaoke is what?
Timmy's go-to song is definitely American Pie, isn't it, Timmy?
Bye, bye, Miss American Pie.
Continue.
Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, "This will be the day that I die."
What? Well, I want him inside an octagon.
Gonna do both, maybe 2-fight deal.
No, just one. One will do. It's important to know that if I can come back from being as low as any man can go, contemplating suicide on a daily basis, then so can you. Anybody can come back. It's not what we go through in life, but it's how we come back from it. And, my message is to the world that anybody can come back from anything, and anybody who's suffering out there with anxiety, depression, mental health problems, that you can overcome it and things will get better, because I'm living proof that it can happen. Keep going. Never give up. Never say die. And remember, God loves us all.
We're out!
Yeah! Do the mic drop, mic drop.
I couldn't let him break the mic right there.
I know. And I was standing behind the scenes nervous. Please don't drop it. That was the new mic.
Yeah, well, he didn't break it. But great times, more great times to come. Now in studio, we have our guest for the day. We have the legend Diego Sanchez, and we have Joshua Fabia right in studio. Guys, pleasure. Thanks for taking the time and sitting down here into the Schmozone.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, Dave, Helen, really appreciate your time and your energy, the invite, everything. Thank you.
And thank you. And let's do this. How excited are you for Fury? Like, I know you got to be close because the guy like loves you, so you got to be pumped on that fight, right?
Very pumped on that fight.
I know you got to be biased, but like, come on, like that's your boy. Right?
Well, so was Deontay though.
Yeah.
Deontay and I have such a great rep too. It's like I didn't want to see anyone lose, but obviously I didn't want to see another tie. I knew someone was going to lose, and I just wanted those guys to come out healthy and to have a clear winner. Who would be the better man Saturday evening, and we saw it. Tyson Fury deserved it.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys talk about all the damage that he was taking, and I'm like, those are boxing gloves. I think I took a knee that didn't have no pad on it or even any muscle on it or anything. It was just a bone. I took a bone to bone. Yeah.
Listen, I'm glad you heard that, and I purposely wasn't looking your way. You were backstage in studio while I was talking about it. I don't think there's a UFC fighter that's taken more shots to the head than you, Diego. You've been in this game longer than everyone. The Ultimate Fighter, season 1, going back at it.
Don't take it away from BJ. BJ still got that award on me.
He does, but Dana doesn't want to see him fight again. Dana's not. Are we going to see him have another UFC fight? I know we're going to see you fight again in the UFC, but I don't know if we're going to see BJ Penn fight again in the UFC. That's unclear right now.
Yeah, a lot of things are unclear, and I wish that they'd give him another fight because I'll go out on the record right now, and for my friend, who people were like, oh, he's just being a drunk and fighting in bars, and that was not the case at all. He got into an engagement with one of his good friends, who's a huge guy, walks around like 220, big Hawaiian guy, got drunk. It was his friend. BJ was engaging in go ahead and hit me, like, what you gonna do? Hit me, this is like, Hawaiian pride stuff, like between friends, and homeboy freaking cracked him with the overhand right, like from hell. Like, freaking, it doesn't matter who you are. You get hit with that 220 pounds of solid mass with rotation and power. Like, BJ wasn't ready for it. The guy took it put him down. BJ, by the time he popped up and realized what happened, probably had a concussion. But when you're from the island or when you're from the streets of Albuquerque, New Mexico, like, and one of your homeboys does you dirty and does you dirty, and he's your homeboy. So this is not like, I'm gonna sue you. No, this is your homeboy, and he did you dirty, and on your own score, on your own turf, like, and you a legend. You done proved your legendary. You the ex-champ. Like, you are the king of the islands, and one of your homeboys did you like this. Trust me. Yeah, when you get back up, they're gonna be like, "Are you okay?" And they take him, okay. Yeah, what the BJ's in the back. What the fuck just happened? Like, oh yeah, homeboy got you with the cheap shot, man. Fucking knocked you out. Like, you don't understand, like, the type of level of pride that in someone like BJ Penn from the islands. Like, we're from a different era when there was still real street fighting, there was still real shit in real life going on. Not for MMA, man. Just because you grew up on an island, you grew up in a rough area, you're gonna have to fight. Because that's how I think most fighters start. But as far as BJ Penn going, I had to go on the record, be like, they should give him one more fight. If he wants one more fight, I think they should give him one more fight. I know a lot of other people will be like, "Oh no, he's done everything he can. He's given it all. He's a legend. He doesn't need to take no more damage." But if it's in this man's heart and he's earned his way to that place in his life and in his purpose, on his mission, and to take it from him because of what happened in the bar fight, I think it's just a low blow, shady move to by Dana White and the UFC to just sweep him out. They don't oh, you didn't earn your right to go out on your own terms. You get one more chance. And they were basically already at that terms of the relationship where it was basically this was going to be like the last fight.
Yeah, I when you know best. Fighters know best. Who am I, or who is anyone in the media or a fan to tell a fighter, hey, you can't fight no more? He's a man. He's been doing this long enough. He should decide when he wants to stop fighting. And if the UFC just pulls the plug on him, and that's the UFC. There's other organizations, but he's a legend. He's done everything.
That's the thing, though, right? Like, okay, you realize the man's age. It doesn't take a lot to Google that, but like it's probably his last fight. You know what I mean? Like, let the dude do it. Let him do him. Like I'm hurt for him. Because I love BJ. He's my homie. If you don't think he got the value and you don't want to see him get punished, okay, well then let him go do himself somewhere else. Maybe he fights on the other side of the planet for Asia or something. You know what I mean?
They got money.
But who do you want to see him fight, though? Is there anyone?
I don't care. All I wish for BJ is that he has his chance and his terms to finish in his way, not because of anything that happened out in a street fight on an island with people just getting drinking too much and making mistakes. Like, come on, like this happens to most people. Darren Till was freaking. I think he stole a taxi cab. Like give BJ the legend a break. Like that's all I'm saying.
But what I was going into is that you've been around for such a long time. The guys that were on that season of Ultimate Fighter, the Stefan Bonners, the Kevin Florians, the Josh Koscheck's, they're no longer active fighters in the UFC, but you're still an active fighter in the UFC. We have your head man right here, head coach, Joshua Fabia, in studio. A couple of weeks ago, UFC Rio Rancho, everyone's making controversy out of the disqualification from your opponent, taking that illegal shot and then choosing not to continue when, obviously, rules of sport, you're the winner. You don't continue, you win. He's the one who broke the rules. We're here to make this an open forum and just to have a great conversation with you guys.
Yeah, well, I want to introduce my man. Yeah, the manager, the trainer, strength and conditioning coach, nutritionist, massage therapist, physical therapist, mind, mental, meditation coach, mentor, in School of Self-Awareness, and has helped me in becoming aware of a lot of things, and just working on being the best Diego. So I'll let him come in on it because he's a better speaker than me. But yeah, man, it's getting better for being 38 and feeling great.
And the second most head strikes in the UFC.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good compared to a year ago.
But Dave thought it was the number one.
Who is number one?
It's BJ.
It was BJ.
Yeah, it's BJ. But I think he only got me by maybe 50 punches probably after last fight.
Yeah.
They took three punches.
Yeah. So on the subject, on the scandalous dramas and the media and the astroturfing, the witch hunting, the sidelining, gaslighting, all those nice, beautiful key terms.
Don't forget bullying.
Yeah, we could definitely talk about bullying, but everybody thinks I'm crying.
Yeah, that's true.
So we won't go there with it because clearly nobody wants to talk about the sensitive subjects of this sport, right? Like the injuries, like the careers and the life after fighting, right? Let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about we want to see Diego look like Diego after a fight. And that guy, if you pull up any of those pictures, that guy looks pretty bad, whether he wins or loses. Now, all of a sudden, at 38 years old, the man has wisened up to realize probably not going to be a good idea. My face can only take so much. Josh has already invested a lot of time and energy into healing his face, the scar tissue, as you can see those 500 stitches and those lines and marks in his face, you can probably see less than a tenth of it now. And if we were to look at pictures from a year ago, you can see 60, 70, 80% of them. So Diego has come to the realization that the way he was fighting before, it worked for a moment in time, absolutely, in the beginning of the sport, when certain levels of athleticism and understanding of the sport were not as evolved as they are at this moment. So again, a lot of these critics talking about things that they know about from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You're talking.
Yeah.
You're not in there playing with these young men, and you're definitely not able to keep up with them. So what you're speaking about is what we would refer to as a moot point. It doesn't really matter, man. And this thing where Diego realizes that this is not the best idea to keep rushing in straight into punches and just take them to get in close enough to grab a guy. Nobody wants to respect that decision and is expecting Diego to do what Diego does. And that's kind of the big issue in one way, right? The masses and the public were shown video and depiction of Diego, 15 years ago. 15 years ago, when the sport was something else, Diego was the 25-year-old fast athlete. Things are different. And nobody wants to say, wow, he's still here. He's keeping up with them. And in these last 3 fights, including this best performance in the last 10 years, the first fight that I am involved with Diego, and all you people out there that think I'm after his money, tell me how I'm after his money when I 1.5 times his income in the first 10 days of working with him. I think you might want to recognize there's value there. And considering I never asked Diego for a contract, I never asked him to be his manager, I never asked to do any of this. I never asked to be in the MMA world. And instead of being seen as a person who is able to step into this space cold, no background, keep up and actually help, do something, I don't know, what do they call that? Pioneering, right? They say you're changing, game changing, right? All these things. How come nobody said that out loud? And this is again within the context of the fight, when everybody's looking for him to end up bloody and there's no blood, when people are then seeing blood and it's a disqualification, they're not happy.
But you know how you said that you never asked to kind of be in the MMA world. Now, Diego, what was it about Joshua that when you first met him that you have so much trust and faith in him to make him, like your head coach, nutritionist, massage therapist, etc.?
Well, that's really easy if you really, truly think about it and break it down. I look at it like this, all right? You have to have humility to be adaptive in life, all right? You have to humble yourself, no matter who you are, all right? This happened to me in wrestling season when I was in high school. I went 19 matches in a row when I finally made it to varsity. I went 19 matches in a row and lost every single one. I barely won 2 matches and got my Letterman jacket. And achieved the goal. But was I able to adapt? Yes. But I had to go through the humbling, right? So in my career, the defeats and the failures that have humbled me have given me a sense of natural awareness and intuition. And I think that intuition is something that has been not energized in today's times with the reliance on technology for everything. And so people have lost connection with this inner gut feeling, intuition that is a thing. And if anybody's ever experienced it, and most people have, you'll know that this intuition that you experience can be so strong at times to where you can't eat. You don't want to put nothing in your stomach, nothing in your stomach. Oh, my stomach feels, life. I'm going through life and, I just can't really eat, or you were in a situation and where you were betrayed and you just, you felt it like a knife in your back, there's many ways to interpret it. For me, it's a gut feeling. Well, when it came to me and Joshua, it's as simple as this. Joshua was on another level. I was this great fighter, legendary, legend, Hall of Famer. And Joshua was on another level, and I was able to understand that, and because he was on another level in a way that he could do every type of movement way better than me, movement, breathing, meditation. And this is not even just the techniques, we're talking, when you in the presence of someone who has a higher frequency than you, that you raise your level, whether it's successful in business, whether it's, you're sitting there with like a very powerful king, there's levels to this. And me, with my awareness and where I was at in my life, I got humbled by a small 135-pound 5'2" man. And we were going to 80%. And he put me in a position where he could have snapped my arm. And I am like, okay, I know I'm an OG and I'm a badass scrambler when it comes to wrestling too. And I got in a position where I was locked up and I could have really hurt myself. I was put into a position where I could hurt myself if I moved wrong. And I was checkmate. It was a clear checkmate. I was like, okay, doesn't take a freaking genius. Everybody's giving me a hard time. Oh, I got manipulated and brainwashed, and he had the thing like that and hypnotized me. Like, no, it's having the awareness to know someone who can help you raise your frequency. You want to, dude, come on. It's like, do you want to be wise or do you want to be a fool? I think I'll take a full card. Okay, give me my iPod back so I can go get back to my games. And
a couple of things that I know spectators, a lot of fans would jump on is, at Diego's most recent fight, you are the lone cornerman. A lot of traditional martial artists, they have their striking coach, their wrestling coach, there's cutmans and everything. Talk to me about the decision making of being the lone wolf in Diego's corner and kind of how you saw everything going out that evening.
Well, first of all, I think we need to recognize that I'm a little different. Diego's a little different. And the fact of the matter is, if I'm already doing so many things, Diego feels that it's probably not hard for this guy, since he's telling you how much I'm capable of doing. It didn't seem like it was a big deal to ask Josh to carry a stool, a bucket, hold ice, and give counsel under the pressure of an audience and a stage. He knew that I could handle that. That's why. And we never discussed it. It was never some major decision. There's no need for anyone else because they were not there during the camp. I'm doing the whole camp myself.
No one earned the spot. Yeah, No,
but hold on. Listen to what he just said. Earned the spot. Has nothing to do with earned the spot. Do you need to occupy space in that moment when only one person can speak at a time? And why do we need to distract this person and add pressure? And I don't know if you're able to see what's going on in a ring there, but the UFC provides the cut man. Okay? So now we already have other people floating around. You got camera guys all up in your face. We really need an extra 2 guys. I mean, I'm just going to tell you right now. This is going to give you the sum up of why we don't do this. Neither one of you are fighters. I just want you to relax and stay right there. Watch what happens. How do you feel? You feel good? You feel like you're going to feel good about performing? None of this feels good. Does this feel good? It's pressure, and there's no need for that. And that's kind of the point, is it's a moment to collect the person, bring them back to focus, and give them a direction, and allow them to feel confident in making that next decision. But
in me making the decision. It's my career. I'm the motherfucking fighter. Like, it's my decision. Like, I gotta go out there and make those crucial decisions. And if I don't and I make mistakes, you know what? Oh man, I'm a human being. I miscalculated. It's not the end of the world.
And this is another part of that. There's a difference in mentality and the way that we've been working in entirety of the whole training and the style, the philosophy. It's called school of self-awareness. There's not going to be somebody always there to whisper in your ear and give you that little thing, okay? So you're going to need to, in that moment, in front of everybody, trust yourself. And on top of it, let's just get real, because I love how everybody wants me to give him the advice so that he fails and I get to take the blame. Now, every single one of you coaches that have had a fighter get knocked out, have any of you accepted responsibility or liability for that? Has anybody came at you that you were at fault for that when you have been the one guiding them into that situation? And this is my point, is everybody's trying to act like it's your call to make. You're a coach. He's the fighter. It's not my call to make, man. And if I can see what people are talking about, absolutely, in the sense of, oh, your eyes shut and you're dizzy and you're having a hard time. Somebody might need to remind you, hey, get your hand up, throw the jab 3 times and jump in.
Exactly.
That might happen in that state. But when I keep going in, every time I've cornered, I don't see any damage on this man where I'm needing to say, this is immediate, you need to do this, otherwise, absolutely, more of this damage is going to happen. Nowhere near has any of that moment been.
Yeah, I guess where people come in too is like, icing behind the neck or just certain areas, and also giving the advice as well. I mean, there's a lot of different tasks all at the same time that helps with another set of eyes, ears, and hands, and just from another human being there.
But again, it's that way because it's been done that way from the beginning. Not one person had to be aware of all of it. So because you compartmentalized, because you did that, that's why you're only seeing it the way you want to see it. The wrestling guy's looking at the wrestling. The boxing guy's looking at the boxing. Well, where's the guy looking at all of it? So like a football coach that has the guys on the ground calling in the plays, notice there's a head coach up in the crow's nest seeing the whole thing. And nobody's really recognizing, man, that's kind of like a little impressive. This guy who has no experience in this game came in and is able not only to handle this pressure, we don't see him shaking. We don't see him bringing Diego down. We don't see him messing Diego's focus up. But nobody said that.
You brought up Jackson Wink MMA, Greg Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Diego, you spent a long time training there. What was the transition like going to work with Josh and leaving that gym? How did that all come about? And that decision-making process?
I think all that's kind of been covered, but I think what you're really wanting to know is what is the difference in the training? That's what everybody kind of really wants to know, those specifics.
I've said this before, but this was the first time in my life that I truly had been trained. Yes, I had some training from some Brazilians that taught me jiu-jitsu. Yes, I've had some guys who taught me some boxing. I've had a little bit of, what I learned in the training room at Jackson Wink, but the first time training with Joshua was a whole nother level. Of a plan being strategized in a way that I couldn't, in a way better than I could before. in a way that helped me. And so once I was able to notice and be aware of that.
And give them an example of a training day. Tell them what happens in the morning. Tell them about what happens at the end of it. Give them an example of what's happening in this 3-hour session with 100% attention given to you, 100% support, 100% documentation.
So as I've told people before, like I was getting maybe like 1 or 2, 20-minute privates, by Greg Jackson, a training camp, maybe once or twice if I was lucky.
In 8 weeks.
Yeah, and so and then as far as mitts go, maybe 3-4 times with Winkle John if I was lucky, and so I wasn't really getting training, even when we get together, hold the mitts, or get together and give me a technique, or I studied this guy, let me you're gonna have to just do this and do that, like little advice, but never had I been trained every single day, with complete focus on me. This starts in the morning, picking me up, taking me to the boxing gym, going through the workouts, trained workouts that are planned, that are fitting to our plan, encompassing the time period that we've been given to accomplish our task. And just, it goes back to all the way dissecting me. He completely dissected me and realized, man, there's a freaking reason why your eyes getting lazy. You're taking these shots. The way that you're moving, the way that your body is positioned is not correct. And so when I realized all of these things that could be improved by the person who was showing me, okay, look, you need to improve because you can't move like that. But
hold on, am I just saying that, or am I proving it to you? See, that's the difference. Everybody thinks that I'm just saying it. No. I don't ask for your respect. I will earn it. So here's a man who's thinking that, I know what I'm doing. My abilities are high. Oh, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
My guard's good. And then I slap the shit out of you 3 times and your face goes down and you're like, okay, I don't know how I got slapped 3 times. Maybe I don't have a good guard. Maybe what he's saying is absolutely true. Maybe my face is pointed at the ground. Maybe I am acting like an animal, and if I don't go into a rage to win, I don't win. And this might be why I'm beating the shit out of my friends in fucking practice, and why nobody wants to train with me at Jackson Wings. This is why, because that's the way that they're allowing him to have a function space, that only you get to win when you go to the level past the other person. But we were just playing, man. We were just sparring.
But do you think that as far as the criticism that you feel you're receiving, and earlier I noticed that you mentioned, obviously not much experience getting into MMA. Do you think that may be a reason that people are just thinking, like his athletic, what's his athletic experience and background?
Yeah, I mean, anybody can say to me, what is your background? What is your experience? My question is, what can you do today? And I'm 38 years old, and if I can do this stuff and I can keep up with people that train all day, take supplements, have every advantage, giving up 30, 40 pounds and a foot of height, you might think that I might know what I'm doing. And the fact that you don't want to see it is why you might be getting humbled, why the awareness alone might hurt. Because you've ignored these lessons and you've been arrogant.
But,
you see? And so when somebody's saying, what did you do in this field? It's also not recognizing this is a specific place created just for that.
Well, what's interesting to me too is the fighters obviously, even a couple of weeks ago at the PI, still had the wherewithal to listen to you. I know there's that story that came out about Emil Meek talking about the knife and everything.
Absolutely.
Too, but he still had to agree to get inside the octagon or on the mats with you guys in the first place.
Not even agree, sir. He asked. He fucking begged. And that's the thing where it's really insulting to bring up...
Just like Luke Thomas begged,
Yeah, but hold on, exactly.
And Ariel.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm on a media campaign, right? You see, this is that spin. So here's what's happening, okay? We're training at the PI. Again, interesting that that's not mentioned in the broadcast. It's interesting it's not mentioned in the broadcast that we trained with Tristan Colony, the guy that just beat our opponent. You know, if you say that, it might make me sound like an actually good, nice coach. Might actually sound like I know what I'm doing. But, you know, when the UFC makes sure not to say that, but yet after the fight, this information comes out, very interesting. And now, hold on. So Emil says, I chased him with a knife, and I had him locked in an octagon. But yet I have video proof the octagon is open. You begged to come train with us. And instead of saying the truth of, hey, yeah, actually, we trained with Diego. We did Shark Tank with him, disadvantaged. I was starting out having his back over and over on drills, and he was owning me. So his grappling is on point. His conditioning is on point. Judging these weird drills might be because that's what you wanted to talk about. You didn't want to talk about that Diego was manhandling you. And you guys were fresh. He's a month ahead of you in fight time. Like, all this shit ain't being said. Just like it's interesting, the article about the 3 anonymous people talking about this neck crank that I'm putting on the referee and one of the commissioners, it's very interesting that comes out now by anonymous people when I can show you there's only 6 of us. So 1, 2, the other 4 people, I can show you who they are. They're not anonymous. So how and why are you putting out this information? That's what's really interesting. And how and why are you telling me on an article that you not only have the Nevada State Commission so concerned that they're thinking about stopping a fight.
Yeah.
No, hold on. They're so concerned they're thinking about stopping the fight. But here comes Chiesa in an article and it's just laughable. Now, if it's so fucking laughable, you tell me why the Nevada State Commission is warning your ass about what's going on. Doesn't that sound fishy? Doesn't that sound a little fucked up before a fight? 40 minutes before the fight, you're going to go tell the opponent what's going on? Let's not even mention the shit talk about burning incense. How do you know what I'm doing? How the fuck do you know what I'm doing in my warm-up room? Well, that might be because I'm the only coach and I'm being pulled out of the fucking warm-up room 4 times. So that's called leaning on me. Oh, shit. And when Diego's been on Media Week and for a month talking about how this is my only coach, this is my only guy, pretty fucking obvious what you're doing. Now, again, the article comes out and says something about Q-tips up the nose. Well, that's bullshit. I can show you footage of the video of the commissioner, you know, being in awe and blown away that I have oiled up my finger and I'm using it up his nose to open up his airway because of the stents in his nose are broke. And when the doctors and everybody comes to inspect my hemp oil and my peppermint oil and make a huge deal about it, I'm the one looking at the doctor saying, what's the problem? You don't know how to do this or what? And if you don't know how to do this and you're a fucking doctor, why are you even back here talking about what fighters need, man? If you don't know that if somebody's nose is busted up, that you're going to need to immediately open up this airway, and it just so happens we're about to perform with a guy that's been training at the UFC PI, the whole camp, to get ready to beat Diego, and I'm not allowed to open up his airway? And see, this is what I mean is, so I open up his airway, there's a problem. I'm blessing the space with incense, but nobody realizes that there's not one holy space that you know of that isn't cleaned with incense. So you go to church and there's incense. You go to temple, there's incense. You go everywhere, there's incense. But the man is about ready to put himself in potential danger, and we're about to pray and clean the space. And this is now religious. And we are from New Mexico, one of the only states to allow Native American indigenous religious practice. And now my religious rights are being infringed upon? And Michael Chiesa gets to know about it. because it's that big of a deal. What I'm doing in our room for Diego, you need to know about. Nobody's talking about that shit.
It's like being a zebra in a field of horses because it stands out, it's different. You know, I think it's easier for people to talk about what's different because it's not the norm of what's typically going on in MMA culture.
Absolutely. But let's talk about this. Uriah Faber is coaching the young Chinese fighter. I can't think of his name. He actually won right before Diego went out. And Uriah was there, and the Chinese interpreter and coach, I think, or both the Chinese men saw what I was doing. Not a flinch, not a hesitation. So it has to do with culture. Has to do with a lot of people not allowing people to just be. And we're already being herded, controlled, leaned on, managed. We already got somebody sitting in the room. We got a commissioner. We got somebody's got to watch him piss before the fight. Like, Jesus, we can't even pray? But whoa. But if I prayed the way you want me to pray, there's no problem.
But have you noticed a difference, though, from state to state with different athletic commissions allowing certain things that goes on in dressing rooms and before fights versus other ones?
Fought in so many different states. Diego would know. I wouldn't.
Well, it's different everywhere you go. Like it's like some.
I think that's an issue.
Some places are, but this is not anything that it's like. Oh well, we had to learn that religion's okay, or like, you know what I mean. Like that's a normal thing. Like why are you gonna stop us from burning a little incense? Like shut the whole building down.
Well, hold on. And this is while Wiz Khalifa's smoking weed down the hallway, but yet. It's a fucking problem. I'm burning some Palo Santo. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? And yet you got to come in and lean on us again, disrupting us 4 or 5 times before the fight.
Yeah, I think kind of like what David said, kind of being like a zebra in horses. But I kind of wanted to circle back to, because I had a follow-up question.
Absolutely.
Just about, when I was talking to you about like the criticism and experience. I was on your website and I noticed that it said, obviously, that you've had years as a successful athlete yourself. So I just wanted to kind of, get to know you more and have you maybe elaborate more on that. So if the fans and viewers may not know.
Absolutely. In essence, the way most people think of sports and the world of participating, you have the American way of seeing it, man. You have you went to grade school, middle school, you play the sports here, you go to this is a feeder system, right? You go from this to this to this to this, you're in college, and then maybe pro if you're lucky. Okay. I've been traveling around the world since I was born. I was on the first kindergarten rugby league in Christchurch, New Zealand. I've participated in martial arts my whole life through actual family tradition of understanding things. Like, quite a bit different than going to a place and giving them money. I never had to pay for training, and I've never been trained in that way. Do you see now what I mean? And so being 5'2", 100 and nothing, for me to even compete in the Western level of sports, which I did, I played for football for Dewey Sullivan, the most winningest coach in Oregon history, but I'm not a name dropper. I wrestled for Emery Blackwell, one of the best wrestling coaches in Oregon history, but again, he never even wrestled. So you tell me how I know how to teach MMA stuff and not do MMA if I had a wrestling coach that never wrestled, but produced tons of state champions, tons of badasses. How do you do that? Might be bigger than just the moves, and he might actually groom leadership in the room to allow the athletes to teach. Okay, so, then you do every sport, because in my life, I didn't have an easy, good home life to come home to. So all my opportunity to stay out of the house meant I have to play a sport. That is my only option. And if I want to stay out of the house a little longer, we better go to state. We better make it a little bit farther. We better get another 2-3 weeks out of this thing. That's what I'm praying for, right? So when you've thrown yourself into the situation where you're in team sports, you're in these things, the only thing where size didn't really matter was wrestling. When the time period was that I was wrestling, I was a very, traumatized young person. So in reality, instead of wrestling the way that I would as a conscious person today, no, man, I was taking out my aggression on people that came into that space, because that was an only space I was allowed to let out some real aggression. So when we're talking about athleticism and these things, like, yeah, man, like it's not the same thing to just talk about, oh, I pinned so many people, I did this, I did that. To me, it's, yeah, obviously I could have pinned more people if I was just not an angry kid and accidentally break a kid's back at Reno Tournament of Champions because I'm looking to try to get a scholarship and I'm scared I don't want to go home. So is it really fair for me to perpetuate more of that in society? Or maybe there's a reason why I'm keeping my mouth shut about real things. Maybe there's a reason why my life is dedicated and showing the light of what I am, instead of showing some of that other thing that other people then worship, follow, and continue to do. And so by taking an actual legitimate, responsible decision on what I put out on the internet is why a lot of people are lost. And if you were the one that needed to know what I know and what abilities I have, you would give me time and energy, and I would let you feel and know. And that is what this man gave me, hence why I give him back the only true commodities in life, which is time and energy. And this is why you're seeing the rewards. You cannot buy this information. It doesn't work that way. It's an investment into yourself. And as you invest in yourself, as like I had to survive, you end up getting different rewards and abilities. So the biggest thing is most people are not working with what they got. Most of us want to be something we're not. And because of that, we never learn how to deal with what we have. Now, truth is I'm 5'0". I've been about the same size since I was like 12 years old. Now, let's say you're a basketball player and a tall person, right?
Yep.
Now we're at the same age, but that person's body after 11 years old is continuously growing. So at 11 years old, I'm doing something and the calculation is getting very tight. Does that make sense? I'm learning that I can do this. I know I can do it. I trust myself. I believe myself. The same kid that's growing constantly through the rest of high school, right? They go to take that basketball shot. Now, one day they've calibrated it, boom. The next day, next month, they grow. The calibration's off. And now we're dealing with a lot of weird issues of self-esteem, fear, anxiety, self-doubt. Now we might understand how I understand a little bit more about it since I've been able to be in my body a little longer than most people. Does that make sense? And that longer period of time in all of these things all around the world, not in one culture, one space, one place, constantly proving who I am, always being somebody in the room, that's how I know who I am.
Gotcha. No, I appreciate you giving us all the insight and everything with that. I know, I could tell, you've been attacked past couple weeks in the media. Gotta let all that out. I do want to end the podcast, though, on next steps for Diego.
Yeah.
I know you have more fights in your contract. When can we expect to see you in the octagon again? When do you want to be in the octagon? And, Coach, when do you want to see him in the octagon again?
Ooh. Well, I feel great. And it's been a busy year. A lot of stuff going on. And to get that pressure just released for a second, it's nice to have a margarita with my coach last night.
Spend time with your baby girl.
Just take a minute and just be like, whew, a breath. All right. Okay. Now, I have a couple ribs that were broken in the fight. Obviously, look, dun 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 dun. I got that. That's my victory dance. I still got that W. But so I got a couple broken ribs. But as you can see, I'm doing great. We opened up the PI this morning. Got some meditation in the sauna. Had my guru working on me, walking on me. Doing our SOS self-healing on this area, getting,
Might be the reason why he's moving around so well and looking so well. But let's not mention that.
Was that the size of the Well, I can't tell on the screen. Like,
Yeah, we can't see that scar now. Who took out them stitches?
coach.
Oh, that's right. Just saved him some more money. Saved him some more time. You know.
Yeah. You
So
saved-
so
saved-
no
saved me
def-
good. Saved me a good couple hours.
So no
there.
definite time. Just take it easy and then see if the offers come
yeah,
in.
what we would like
Yep.
is tomorrow we have a meeting, right? We're gonna meet with Sean Shelby and talk about some of these things that we've been talking about right here, and also talk about Maya, talk about Pettis, talk about guys that are over 30 and within his size range, because that's what's right. And when you brought up the BJ thing, I love that you brought it up. I just, again, it amazes me that you want to know who he should fight. Maybe it should just be what criteria should it be?
Interesting.
And that's what I'm saying is maybe it should be a thing of only 5-year difference and only 2-inch difference. And that's 2-inch height and reach. And also, just for you spectators out there that think you know everything, those measurements and those reaches that they are showing you are not true. Because if that was the case, Piera said he only had 2-3-inch reach advantage. 2-inch reach advantage. And anyone watching that fight knows damn well that was more than 3 fucking inches. So who are we bullshitting, and why are we acting like the feats that are happening are not what they are? And this is the truth, is if you wanted to beat the shit out of Diego so bad and retire him, why fucking sign a new contract? Should have just let us go. And that's the truth. So the situation is now, Diego not only deserves a fair fight, there's no reason to fight if it's not. Because his life doesn't need to be put in jeopardy. He is too valuable. His life after fighting is too valuable. And as someone who has put in the amount of time, energy, and sacrifice for the UFC, I really think he deserves to go out in the light and not be suffocated into the darkness. And we will not go into the darkness quietly.
Ride out on that high horse. We really appreciate
Yes,
you guys entering the
thank you.
Schmozone.
My
Joshua Fabia, Diego Sanchez,
Dave.
Helen Yee Sports.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're out.